Big brother, I ain't talking about the state. No, I'm talking about our Holy Father, the Almighty who reigns. My Savior's face, you know it's just like the sunshine, sunshine. My, you know my Savior's got a face like the sunshine, sunshine. You ever get the feeling you may be being clocked, like your life has got the time but on someone else's watch? No, I ain't talking about the big hand, I ain't talking about the small man, I'm talking about the time creator, he who reigns over all. My Savior's face, you know it's just like the sunshine, sunshine. You know my Savior's got a face like the sunshine, sunshine. Whenever I feel like I need some sunscreen, I look into the Word and don't need no shades. No matter what the weather I face, He's got a face like the sun. So give praise. States Matthew 17, 2. And He was transfigured before them, and His face did shine like the sun. What is light? It's just like the sunshine, sunshine. You know my Savior's got a face like the sunshine, sunshine. Whenever I feel like I need some sunscreen, I look into the Word and don't need no shades. No matter what the weather I face, He's got a face like the sun. So give praise. My Savior's face, it's like the sunshine, sunshine. You know His face is like the sunshine, sunshine. Hey, oh, you know my Lord, who needs shade, so give praise. Face like the sun.
Welcome to the Missouri Freedom Initiative. It is Saturday, gang. It is the Saturday. It is a Saturday. It's 7:30 p.m. It's the 2nd of March. The year is 2024. Look at that national debt. $34,415 billion. My goodness, we've added another $74 billion here in the last week. You know, holy mackerel. So someone in Congress's mama needs a new pair of shoes, guys. You know what I'm saying? That's some pretty good spending there. So at any rate, they should be fat and happy here for at least another week, I would think, with $74 billion. But maybe not. It is our government. Okay, gang. If you don't mind, I'll bring up the gang here in a second here. Give us a 5x5 or your favorite caliber in the comments section of whatever streaming system you are on right now. Please let us know. And I do appreciate all of you being here with us tonight. And let's go ahead and bring up the gang here. And so I can actually unmute myself, and boom, now you guys are live. So we've got Gretchen Garrity with us, the prolific author of Right to Win Ozarks blog. So thank you for joining us, Gretchen. We have, of course, Liberty Revolutionary, also known as Caleb. We also have Voodoo Queen. We have Wonder Woman, also known as Retha. We have Shane with us, and Tom Martz is with us tonight. So we got quite a crew here tonight. So let me take a look and make sure everyone's seeing us okay, hearing us okay. It looks like, oh, we got another 45x70. So that was a new caliber for me. I did not know about that until recently. Oh, we got a 50 cal in there from Warrior Class. And let's see, Gary Ride, 12.7x99. Interesting. So, and Misty Atkinson is with us too. Hey, Misty. Misty says, hello, everyone. So glad to see live in Missouri that knows who should be the president of this country. Overwhelming numbers. Oh, okay, got you. We'll talk about the caucuses tonight, Misty. We'll talk a little bit about that.
Oh, by the way, 12.7x99 is 50 BMG.
50 BMG, gotcha. Okay.
All right. It's 50 cal.
Okay, you guys are getting all technical on me. And Casey Rich himself also prefers the 50 cal. So yeah, those are good calibers. Let's check in real quick over on Rumble. And it looks like people are hearing us fine. They're putting in their favorite gun. Oh, B. Hoffner, who I just met on Thursday. So nice for B. Hoffner to check in. 9mm for B. Hoffner. So let's see.
Caliber.
Yep, it is a good caliber. It's an excellent choice. And it's the choice of many for concealed carry. It's really hard to conceal carry 50 cal. Not impossible, but difficult.
Hey. They do make a Glock in 50 GI, which is, yeah, it's little short 45 ACP case stretched out to 50.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, all right. Well, I'll tell you what. Normally I go into a little diatribe when I get this thing going here, but I wanted to give Gretchen and Retha a chance to talk a little bit because we're a month away now, exactly a month away from the April 2nd ballot. On the April 2nd ballot, in virtually every community in Missouri, you're going to be voting on school board members and possibly school bonds. More than half of Missouri school districts are going for very large bonds. So I thought I would turn it over to them and let them talk a little bit about this. And incidentally, Retha has produced more videos. I'm going to edit them tomorrow, and I'll get them up. So she's got those done a while ago, actually. But we'll get those up, and one of them's for Clever, Missouri. If you're in Clever, Missouri, you'll get to hear a lot more about our school district and the dastardly deeds done by the superintendent and the school board there. But I'm going to go ahead and shut up and let Gretchen and Retha take it away and talk a little bit about what we should do. Should we not have time to look into our bonds? We have not had time to look into our candidates. What do we do? What do we do? So take it away, Retha and Gretchen.
You start up, Retha.
Retha, you with us?
Oh, whoops! I didn't have my boom down.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
This is the deal, folks. You really need to look into your bonds. You need to look at how much debt you have. You need to, that you still have before you go and vote in something else. What I'm finding is many of these school districts have a ton of debt still, and either they're doing levy transfers, which means that they're taking away money that's could be going towards paying off that debt and putting it in what's called their operations account. Well, the thing is, that's actually a tax increase because it's a permanent tax. And I'm seeing that in our case, it's our previous bonds here in Clever are nearly paid off. And I mean, talking like within around $100,000. And when they're going for a no tax increase bond issue, well, like in my community, I bet you 90% of them, 95% of them, maybe 99% of them have no idea that our bonds are about to expire. And that would be a tax decrease, next year when we go to pay our taxes. So it's very important to know your debt. I can't stress that enough, and how that debt's being managed. And I'm just finding all sorts of crazy things. And
Retha, do you know offhand what the debt is in Ozark?
that's still because they went and they did that lease purchase debt. Now, if you're just talking bond debt, I think they're still around 90 million.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah.
90 million in Ozark. And if you were to take and put the lease purchase debt in there, they're probably somewhere in the 110 again,
Mhm.
somewhere in that.
And so when voters go to vote, there are several people running for the school board in Ozark. And just remember that the one of the incumbents, you could say, who is running again, has been there for 27 years. That's Patty Quisenberry. And she has been involved in the debt, she's the president-elect of the MSBA, which we've spoken about earlier. So be very careful who you're voting for. There's such a thing called rotation in office. Let's just say.
Yeah, and it's vital, but it is important to know who these candidates are and what they're standing for. Because everybody has motive or a purpose of why they're running for a school board. And you need to find that out. Is it to expand sports programs, or is it for accountability? Well, what kind of accountability is it? Is it an accountability for grades? Is it an accountability for the financial end of it? And unfortunately, we have gotten so far away from looking and vetting these people. There is no watchdogs for us in these board members. They're gone, folks. And we have to be accountable for the money that we give to them in bonds and hold them accountable ourselves, because your board members are being led by the ear. And these experts that go in front of them, well, they're your bank reps. They're dancing to their car because they're listening to them and taking their advice, to do whether it be refinance or starting a new bond. They're being led by the ear by people that benefit. And so
It's a closed system, okay? So the school boards are basically a closed system that are run by the superintendent and the NGOs that they're affiliated with, like the MSBA, a lot of the teacher unions, things like that. And the school boards do not exercise their duly elected to exercise the governance of the schools. They do not do it. I would say that a lot of the school board members who are running, the ones who are new, some know, but there are other ones who are really not aware of how the system works, and they need to be educated on that. And I think the public really needs to educate them on it.
Tom Martz says, 1 second, I'm sorry, Gretchen. Tom Martz says perhaps the legislature should pass a law making it so that the school district must disclose total debt carried on the books at every vote, basically where they're demanding more funds. And I think, Tom, that's a brilliant idea. There's no reason something like that shouldn't go through, because that's what they're hiding every time they go for a new bond. They don't want to tell you what their current debt is. So
I can think of a reason. I can think of a reason it
Oh.
wouldn't go through.
Yeah.
Crooked lobbyists.
Yeah. Yep. But okay, Gretchen, Retha. Okay, I'm John Q. Public, and I live in I don't know, Cuba, Missouri. I don't have time to look into my school district. I just don't. I'm a very busy guy. I got a family. I got a regular job, and I really don't have time to look into the school district. What would your advice be for someone that isn't willing to or isn't able to look into anything for school board members or for anything having to do with the current debt load before they vote for a bond?
Well, the first thing they could do is look at their tax burden. Just open it up that comes from the appraiser every year or the taxing agency, and take a look and see how much of your property taxes are going for your school district. And when you see it 70, 80%, I just heard of one in Missouri is 84%. It might be Highlandville. 84% goes to the school district.
Mm-hmm.
And then look at who is running or rerunning for the school board. If they've been on there a while and they're a part of all that debt and all those taxes like that, at least you know not to vote for them.
Yep.
Yeah, but my thing is when you go to vote yes on a bond, it just doesn't just affect you. It affects your neighbor. It affects the person on a fixed income. It affects the struggling parents. It affects little Johnny and Susie. Indirectly if their parents are struggling, and it's like you need to know if it's really needed. But to just go in there and vote yes on something, oh, it's for the children. Well, you don't understand. These children are going to pay for that debt when it's time for them to go and get a home. These are 20-year debts. You have a 10-year-old. Well, that debt's going to be there till they're 30. So if it's for the children, shouldn't we ensure that the children can afford what's left of this American dream of having a house? I think it's really important when you go to vote that you know what's being voted on, what's really needed. Is it extravagant? Are they being reasonable? And things like that. But if you don't have that kind of knowledge, you got to understand anytime you vote yes on any tax, well, there's consequences to that. And those consequences need to be worth it.
Yeah, well, let's look at return on investment, right? As taxpayers, we're investing in the schools, and we expect that we're going to get a certain level of competency among students, right? Well, it's not happening. Just about every school district scores are stagnant or falling in the most basic areas. And yet the tax dollars, and they keep, saying that it's all for the kids. But when you're not getting return on investment for your community, which is educated children, you need to look at why you would want to give them more money.
I'll tell you what, one aspect of this is if I don't have time to look anything up, it's probably a safer bet and I'm talking about me personally, and I never tell people how to vote. How about, my advice, would be for me, vote no. If you don't know what's going on with your school district with that bond, I personally would vote no. If you haven't had time to look it up and see what debt levels your school is carrying, or when your current bonds are going to expire, and they never tell you that. They don't want to tell you that. You have to poke and prod to get that out of them. In many cases, you can't get it out of them. So if it were me, I think my vote would be no immediately on a school bond if I didn't know everything about the school financials, and I mean everything. Because trust me, gang, this is a very important aspect that they're hiding from you very deliberately. Okay, and then when it comes to school board members, this is my advice. This is what I would do: is go through anyone who's running for school board in your school district and contact them on Facebook or call them on the phone, because a lot of them, basically allow you to call them on the phone and ask whether or not they support total local control of the school district. If the answer is yes, that's probably your person. That is, if they're not fibbing. But if the answer is no, it's very important that the federal government and the state government maintain control over the school district. Then that's an automatic no. That's in my book. So that's kind of what I would do, gang. So I'll let the ladies continue.
Yeah, I would say some of the school board members that I've seen that are not members, but the candidates, the ones in Springfield seem to be really, really right on. A couple of them, I think Chad Rollins and another one, they are, this isn't their first rodeo. They know what's going on. I don't know. I know we've got Elizabeth Dudash Buskirk who's running in Nixa. She ran and lost before, so she's going to have a little bit more knowledge. And then we have several new ones in Ozark. Clever, I don't believe it has anybody running this time around, but Ozark has a couple. And you just need to really make sure that your candidates know what is going on in the schools, because they'll get absorbed into the board if they aren't thinkers and warriors and really have the children's students and the school district and the taxpayers. They don't have that passion, for them. They're going to get absorbed and they're going to start just voting like the board votes in most of these school districts. You need fighters. You need warriors who aren't afraid. Like Christina Tonsing in Ozark, she will stand up against, the board vote that happens almost every time. She'll be a lone nay vote or a lone yay vote. The rest of them are just a board. So you need a fighter.
Yeah, that's good advice, Gretchen. And it's actually terribly important that people actually follow those guidelines. Our schools are a mess, gang, in Missouri. They are in the United States in general, but in Missouri especially. Retha's been looking into district after district after district, other financials, and finding, all kinds of, discrepancies within their own bookwork. And we're talking, it's not like two sets of books here, gang. Well, technically there is, in a way, because they have lease purchase debt or internal debt, and then they have the public debt, the bond debt. So they do kind of, in a weird way, to have two sets of books. But that's not the only thing you should be looking at. Right now, the economy, of course, is not the healthiest. But is it a good time to incur another 20 years worth of debt and literally put that on the homeowners at this time? And that's something that everyone needs to strongly consider at this point in time, is whether or not it is worth it to put yourself and your entire community and the elderly and those who may be on disability in your community in another 20-year bondage for something that's unnecessary. Now, the Missouri Freedom Initiative has a very hard line on this. If your school district needs a new school building, that's exactly what bonds were all about in the first place, was school buildings. It wasn't for AstroTurf. It wasn't for repairing a parking lot. That's all supposed to be out of maintenance. They're supposed to have money within the levy side of the bond, or the levy is not really a bond, but the levy side, to take care of maintenance.
Operations.
Yeah, thank you, Retha.
Yep.
So,
well,
yeah.
the other thing that's super annoying is they're wanting to do all kinds of capital projects and improvements when demographics are stagnant, right, Retha?
Yes, actually, they're actually been going in the other directions for the last 3 years. But then they had a company come in, RSP, to do the demographic data. Well, they were off by probably about what was around 75 students, somewhere in there. And so this is the data sets that they're going and showing people. Well, the people, if they're not looking at the actual population of the school district, they're going to think, oh, well, we're growing. When, well, actually, in the last 3 years, we've fully been losing students. And it's like, yeah, we've got homes coming in. We have these not duplexes,
Townhomes.
yeah, the townhomes, thank you, that are going in, but that's no guarantee of how many students that you're going to have. And so you have illusions of, oh, well, yeah, we're growing, we need all this extra space, all these extra classrooms. And it's like, well, what is that really going to look like in 5-10 years when there's not being as many babies born here in Missouri?
I actually think they have plans to make these schools more like community centers where everybody will come for health, whatever, or, all kinds of different resources and things like that. I think there's some kind of a plan back behind it for that. I have no proof of that other than the fact that they're trying to make childcare, a part of the public schools system.
Yep.
In regards to
And
that, can I interrupt you guys for a quick second? Ozark's Freedom Gal has put in the Rumble side of the chat. Ours wants a new building. They have already made plans to move some grades to another school building and bought a different building to put in a new state-funded daycare. And also, she said, our local newspaper has started doing articles in the paper focused on how run down the school is. Think of the children. We need to pass these bonds, kind of articles. B. Hoffner says, and this is a separate one, Jackson School District is doing the same thing. They want to vote a tax increase for the teachers, and yet there are millions in debt. So I'm sorry for interrupting.
They want to increase taxes again? Or is that like the city of, like, is there a city named Jackson, or is this Jackson County?
B. Hoffner, if you wouldn't mind letting us know if that's Jackson County or is that a Jackson school district, somewhere else. So we'll wait for the response on that.
Let's say their tax rate is already through the roof. We were just talking about that at that committee meeting up there.
Yep.
And let's just think about how our fire departments and other infrastructure and things are not being funded properly because the schools are taking everything. It's like a huge tick, and they just take everything, and they don't care. They don't give a crap that the fire department or the police department isn't funded properly, or that the health department is, health department, I shouldn't say that. They're so funded, it's ridiculous. Never mind, but you know what I mean.
Julie A. says on YouTube, I will email my school board and ask what the debt is. I'm sure they'll be happy to answer me honestly.
Yeah, that is something that I'm sorry to say, because as Patrick knows and Gretchen knows, I ran into a school district where a superintendent was asked point blank in a public forum how much debt was left, and she was not giving the accurate number.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's another thing that, I get really concerned now. That's the reason why I'm like, people, you got to know how to look this stuff up. That's the reason why I do these teachings, because it's like you have to be able to navigate the lies.
Yep.
You have to be able to navigate when you're not being told the truth, or they're just throwing a random number at you. I mean, I couldn't believe it. God, no, that's more like 12 million, not 5.
Actually, there's a funny comment. I thought I'd just read. El Maria, or Mariah, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing. I'm horrible at that. Put in a funny comment. Says, this nation has gone the way of the Roman Republic, except we have Wi-Fi. Yeah, that's kind of true. Yeah. So,
Just insane.
but to wrap it up, basically when it comes to the school stuff, gang, we're a month away. You do have time to look into, and by the way, we'll look through these comments here because there's several people commenting from school districts throughout the multiple platforms we're on. And we'll take a quick look. It wouldn't take too long. Retha may be able to look up some of them even while we're online. But for Julie A., it's Lee's Summit. And I think Retha's looked
Lee's
at Lee's
Summit?
Summit before.
Yeah, what she want to know? She wants to know the debt.
Yep.
Okay, I can look that up. You
Okay,
can keep
she'll look
on
that up
talking while I look up.
in real time. Okay. But the quintessential thing here that I think we all have to remember is the schools, first of all, lie on the ballots. If you and by the way, this is a truth. This is not me being hyperbolic. If you see no tax increase bond issue on your ballot, it is a lie, and it's a legal lie, but it is a lie nonetheless. There will be an increase in taxes in your district. It's just it's literally a horizontal increase, not a vertical increase. So, in other words, that bond that you were just about to pay off in your district before you voted for a new bond is, basically your taxes were about to go down, but now they're going to be extended out another 20 years for people voting yes on that new bond that is a no tax increase bond. For instance, in Clever, and this is something Retha talked about in a video, and I'm going to just mention this. This is some of the hijinks that you can expect from your school district. In our district in Clever, Missouri, they decided to go ahead and refinance. And by the way, guys, this is not hyperbolic either. This is the absolute truth. They decided to refinance our current bond when there was only 2 years left to pay on it. Only 2 years left. So they were down to principal only. They'd already done the interest up front, and they refinanced it and stretched it out another 4 years to buy more time to try and get a new bond passed. That means we incurred brand new interest in Clever. All the residents of Clever are getting screwed over by whoever made that decision to refinance that bond to stretch it out just a little bit longer so they can get a new bond in. Now, here's the money shot, gang. This is where it counts. The reason they do that is because it takes a higher percentage of yes votes to vote in a brand new bond as opposed to continuing an existing bond. That's why they never want their bonds to expire. 2 reasons. It's easier for them to get it done. And number 2, they don't want you to feel that tax decrease on your personal property and your property because you'll be less likely to vote in a new bond if you get to feel a 25% decrease in your personal property or property tax. And that's the truth. Now, they'll never tell you that, but that is the absolute honest to God truth. And that's why so many of them are desperate to get this done now because the ESSER funds are expiring in September of this year. And they're looking to make up for that federal COVID funding that they've been receiving for 4 years. And so that's what they're trying to do is now get it out of the homeowners in the district. They're addicted to that federal heroin, that money they were getting for COVID relief funds that unfortunately went to teachers' salaries. And so the
Some of it did, and then they were here. Let me interrupt for
Sure.
just a second. And then, so anybody out there that has a bond for or say for a levy transfer or whatever for their for operations for teachers' salaries, Parsons went and continued the increase for teachers' salaries.
Mm-hmm.
Now for 6 years in a row. So, and I really think they're going to continue that because, well, they only got $6 billion more in revenue, at the state level, and they have to allocate part of that for schools. So I think that's going to continue, but there is no way for the schools to know that at the time because that happened after they had to get all this stuff set in motion.
Okay.
And that was something else that they were worried about losing was the state revenue to increase the teachers' salaries. So they're getting that. So if that's on your ballot, just say no. And I normally don't tell people how to vote, but it's just because of that. It's like, well, the state is going to cover it. and that's the reason why they were asking for it, because they thought they weren't sure if they were going to get those funds anymore. Okay, now Lee Summit. For the person in Lee Summit. Okay.
That's Julie.
Get
Julie,
ready.
here we go. Reports on Lee
Julie,
Summit coming up for you.
oh, I'm so sorry.
Uh-oh.
You guys
Uh-oh.
got a high levy. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's almost $5.31.
Oh my
Is
God.
their levy for the school.
Just for the levy.
Which is high. Just for the total levy.
Okay.
$1.07 of that goes towards the bonds. But
Okay.
here's the money shot for the bonds. This doesn't include their lease purchase debt. This is bond debt that's on people's homes.
So,
okay?
so just to be clear, lease purchase debt is internal debt that they take on.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, lease purchase debt, that's levied against the school. And they've got like a nickel associated with that. But okay. $282,152,000 is what they have in bond debt in Lee Summit right now.
Oh my God.
Okay. Yeah. And then
I mean,
19,598,103 in lease purchase debt. So they have literally over 300 million in debt. Okay. And then they've got some other lease purchase debts too down here for different ones, but they're smaller. Oh, and then get this. Okay, so if they're saying that they aren't getting very much revenue, by the way, just say, well, what are you doing with the $6.8 million in extra revenue that you got just last year?
Mm-hmm.
That's an increase in local effort. Just local effort, as in people's property taxes. That's what Lee Summit got. An extra 6.8 million just last year.
And to put in perspective, just got to realize how big the land mass of Lee Summit is. Because I live just south of Lee Summit. Like, I'm probably, I don't know, I can drive 5 minutes and I'm technically inside Lee Summit, or at least inside of people that have a Lee Summit address that would be paying into that school district. They extend all the way over past Lake Lottawan and everything. My grandparents paid $9,000 in property taxes on their house and the vehicles they have.
I believe it. I believe it.
People in that area are paying upwards of $11,000, $12,000, $13,000 in property taxes.
that sounds like upstate New York.
Yes, it does.
You know, like and yeah, I know because I used to live there. That's what they do on little bread and butter houses. You get charged $8,000-9,000 or more a year.
Did anybody here see that the cop and the process server that were shot in Independence?
Mm-mm.
There was
I
a
do
cop
know
and a
about
process server. Yeah. You and I talked about that the other
Yep.
day. The cop and the process server that were shot were serving an eviction notice over property taxes.
Yep.
House probably about 4 acres, maybe, and not a massive house, but not a small one. And you know, it was about $30,000 in property tax debt. And that was probably 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And guess what? The local effort per ADA is for Lee Summit. It's $9,691. Just to give you a frame of reference, folks, it's usually in the 5,000 range.
Yep.
Is your average. So they're almost double what the average is for Missouri. Now, this is just the local effort. That doesn't include their state and federal. Okay.
Mhm.
Some school districts, that's about what they get combined with state and federal. So they are just squeezing and pillaging the poor people on this. It's terrible. And this is for, I would guess around 18,000 students, maybe.
Mhm.
Something like that. The average daily attendance is 16,178, but
Okay.
It's big
Well,
enough they have to have 2 high schools.
yep. I'll tell you what, Retha, and Julie said to say thanks, Retha, by the way. And then we'll take the one last request that I see right now, and that's Willard School District.
Okay.
And that's from
I can
Sam
do that.
I Am. And Sam I Am has actually joined us for Knock and Shock on many occasions in the past. So, so at any rate, he's curious about his school district.
Okay, we can do it right now.
Okay.
Their total levy is $4.12, and then their debt service, that's for their bonds, is $119.28. Okay, and let's go to how much bond debt you have. Give me a second here. All right. Oof, ouch. Okay. 66,640,000. I'm sorry, 640,000.
That's their debt.
So 60. That's their bond debt.
Hey, Sam, I need you to ask me something.
60,640,000.
Sam,
Lease purchase debt.
hang on one second, Retha. Sam, is Willard going for a bond? Please respond on that. Sam's on YouTube, by the way. So, Sam, let us know if they are going for a bond in Willard, because that's a huge amount of debt for such a small school district. That's really insane. And that is a small school district, folks.
Yeah, it's about 5,000 students.
Yeah.
It's not that small, but a local effort per 88. And see, they're in that 5,386. You see what I mean?
Yep.
But yeah, for this, that's a lot too.
Okay.
ADA is average daily attendance, right, Rita?
Yep, average
Okay.
daily attendance. So that's why I'm like, okay, I'll add that's somewhere in the probably around the 5,000 range, you know.
Okay. And
Because it's
then there was
4,147.
okay, gotcha. One more request real quick, because we don't know if there's a bond going on there. One more request, and that's the last request we will take, guys, and that's from Tez Grande, Neosho,
Okay.
Missouri. And Tez, do you happen to know whether or not Neosho is asking for more money first? But Retha, go ahead and look into it. And once again,
There
gang,
you are.
we are not against getting a new building when the kids need a new building. That is something we're all for. They should be in a safe environment. Absolutely sure. There's no one in the initiative who says otherwise, but it's all the other stuff they want. It's totally unnecessary.
Okay, $3.72 is their levy. So, you know, they've got a debt service fund that's 64 cents, and then capital projects fund, they have a portion of the levy going into that currently. But 372 isn't bad.
Okay.
It's not a bad levy. And but they do have some debt for sure. Yeah, and then boy do they. 39,455,000 is what they have in bond debt. Okay, but wait, there's more. They got lease purchase debt of an amount of $29,535,000. Yeah. So let's see.
About
Yeah,
70
and they've
million
got
in debt.
about the same as the other school district we just did, with them combined, and their ADA average daily attendance is 4,345. So they're around the same size school district as the other, and then their total local effort is 16,205,432. But local effort per average daily attendance, 3,728. Oh, but they have that lower levy than the other. So that makes a difference too.
Some comments are coming in that they're talking about AI or robot teachers that are basically they're starting to employ worldwide. So teachers unions, I don't know how you guys are going to feel about having software and robots in your unions, but it's coming soon. So, you guys are going to have to talk amongst yourselves to figure out what you want to do about that.
Yeah, and the MSBA is definitely for AI, by the way.
Yep, I agree. Okay, and if you don't mind, gals, thank you very, very much. In fact, if we could call on you maybe every single Saturday before April 2nd, and we'll still delve into this and let people know as much as possible. Please keep watching our channel, guys. Tomorrow I should be getting some videos up, some school videos that Retha produced a while ago. I've just got to throw it through or some rendering software and all that fun stuff to get it up and running. But Retha's still been working on this stuff. She never stops. Neither does Gretchen. So at any rate, if you guys have any questions, put in the comment section here, and we'll get to them in a little bit. But we're going to move on to a different subject real quick. And I don't want to do soapbox time tonight, but I do want to talk about several things that have happened in the past week. First and foremost, I did go up to Jackson County and speak to the Republican Central Committee meeting there. In fact, Caleb joined me there. So so at any rate, so we had a good chat with them. We talked about the Missouri Freedom Initiative, what we do, and the silver and gold bill, HB 1955. And that went really well. They were very receptive. I did talk a little bit about schools, and there was someone there that was a little bit of a detractor on the school side of things, but that's about it. So standard fare, a good experience, nice people. And so thank you very much, if anyone's watching from Jackson County, for having me to come up and speak. Next thing I want to talk about was Tuesday, which was the day after Jackson County. We had our big hearing. So this, guys, has been recorded, and I will get that video out tomorrow as well. But that went really well. And I want to say a special thank you to Jim Forsyth and Daniel Diaz, who came at their own expense from New Hampshire and Florida, respectively, just to testify in our hearing. And they did a phenomenal job. They really helped out. And once again, they're Citizens for Sound Money, so they're all about gold and silver as well. They're running legislation in other states, and they came by to give us a hand. And we really do appreciate that. They're good folks. So the next thing was I was up there again on Thursday, and had a meeting with Dean Plocker's chief of staff. His name is Rod Jetton. And we had a very positive conversation. By the way, Bill Hardwick was there, Representative Hardwick, and also Jim Pellis was there. And we also had Shane, our very good friend Shane, who's actually in here with us right now, was also in that meeting. And it was very positive. And I think we've got a path to get HB 1955 out of the House. I really do, after having that meeting. Now, it doesn't mean there's not going to be bumps in the road. There always are. But I think we have a clear path. And right now, it looks that way. We just need to get it out of committee. I will be going back up again on Monday. And I'm going to meet with 6 people that are currently on the Financial Institutions Committee. Even though Representative Hardwick is pretty sure that we have the votes we need to get it out of committee, I don't leave anything to chance. I've put too much into this, so I'm going to go talk to the 6 remaining people that haven't been talked to one at a time, and see if we can clinch that, and even get some Democrat votes, which would really warm the cockles of my heart if the Democrats would vote yes for this, because gold and silver is for everyone. For everyone. It has nothing to do with right and left paradigm stuff. So, and then on top of that, I did want to talk, and I may soapbox this towards the end here, about the impressive nature, the truly impressive nature of the Missouri grassroots and the infrastructure they have set up. And I'm in a very unique position to talk about this, because most of you know last year I was talking to over 20 states, representatives and senators in other states. And those in the group, I'm sorry, most of you in the Missouri Freedom Initiative know about that. And I was able to talk to them, basically about their silver and gold bills and stuff like that. But I was telling them, basically about the grassroots we have in Missouri and the kind of presence we have in our capital. And I kid you not, there is not a single state that I talked to that said they have anything like that. They said, we rarely have regular people come up to our Capitol. It's pretty much all lobbyists. Well, Missouri seems to be the exception to the rule, and that's largely because of, basically I just want to say the liberty mindset that we have here in Missouri is a little bit different. We have a very, very purplish policy for such a red state. And that's because of the rhinos and the corporatists serving, running as Republicans. And we're dealing with that now, too, with vetting. So we are, in effect, the grassroots and the Republican Central Committees are starting the process of draining the swamp in Jefferson City. It's actually happening. And
It is.
And the advocacy we have with the Freedom Caucus. Guys, I mean, if we have a direct line of communication with, it's not the entire Republican Party, but a very good chunk of the Republican Party that are listening to everything the grassroots are saying and advocating on that behalf within the legislature. I remember I was talking to Idaho about this literally 3 weeks ago. And they have a caucus too. They have a Freedom Caucus. And they knew who I was because I had talked to them last year. I worked with them a little bit on some stuff, but they were absolutely downright curious about all the stuff that was going on because it made it to the news. Senator Eigel and many others lost their chairmanships. They lost parking spaces and, the threat to take away furniture from their public offices. And that news even got to Idaho. They were seeing it apparently in national media. And so we were talking about that. And I said, well, we just had a big rally. A big rally. And they said, okay, tell us what that looked like. And I said, it was roughly 400 people. Now, I'm not going to name the legislator I was talking to, but he was bowled over. He says, we have never seen anything like that in our capital. Never. He goes, we do have protests once in a while where that many people will show up, but they're usually outside the Capitol. And so he said these people were inside the Capitol and circulating amongst the politicians and talking to politicians. And I said, absolutely they were. And he says, that's absolutely amazing. He goes, I wish we could have something like that here. Guys, I'm telling you, I mean, I don't know anyone else. Out of all the circle of folks that I talk to on a regular basis, I don't know anyone else who's talked to as many other states, state representatives and state senators as I have. And I'm talking about not Missouri, I'm talking about other states. And what we have going on here in Missouri is not replicated in their states. But they don't have the battles that we are having with the rhinos and the corporatists anywhere near to the degree that we're dealing with. That's what it takes to drain that, is us, the people, showing up. The Freedom Caucus working hand in hand with all the grassroots organizations throughout the entire state. And also showing up at the Capitol. That's what makes us different. That's how we're draining the swamp in Missouri. So this coalition between all of these very diverse, very different grassroots organizations, and they have different priorities, different skill sets, different abilities, different amounts of time you can put in. But the fact is, together, we're a juggernaut. We're an absolute, honest-to-God juggernaut. In other states are looking at this going, how did they do that? How is that happening? How are they getting the activity level up with the citizens in that state? Well, guys, that's us. That's the grassroots they're talking about, they're wondering about, they're asking about. And the rally that we had, the first big rally, they're talking about it in other states. The Freedom Rally. They're actually talking about that rally in other states. Guys, we have something very special going on here, and we need to keep this coalition together. And one thing that keeps us all bound together is realizing how big our Missouri government is and how much money it takes to keep it, as big as it is. And that's something that we need to always, always, always keep in mind. And I'm going to get off the soapbox in a second here, is the fact that the state does not need to be this big. And when we have overages in tax collection, surplus is the official word, it should be a tax cut. And we can't get that with our current governor. Parson will not let it happen. So you need to look at people who are running for governor that are going to cut taxes, that are asking the legislature for tax cut bills. We just don't get that with Parson. We get tax cuts for farmers. That's what we get out of Parson. That's it. That's it. So that's very targeted. That affects less, or roughly 10% of the population of Missouri. Yet the Constitution of Missouri, Article 1, Section 2, talks about equal application of the law. If there's going to be a tax cut, we need to have equal tax cuts. And that's why the Missouri Freedom Initiative pushed so hard to get rid of sales tax on food. That is the great equalizer right there. The most regressive tax cut you could possibly do is food. And right after that is fuel. And right after that is probably personal property tax. And so, but do we get this stuff done with Parson? The answer is no. It can't get done with Parson. So we need to be very clear who's running for governor and who is actually going to cut taxes, because we have got to shrink the size of the Missouri government. It's far too large, far too big. In fact, I'm going to get off the soapbox right now, but I'm going to offer it up for comments. I'm sorry, gang. I needed to talk about that just a little bit, and I will talk about other stuff, with the rest of the broadcast. Okay, let's see.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I don't know if anybody saw that, but Andy Reid, Chiefs coach, his son got a DUI and some other charges because he had pleaded guilty to it because he smashed into somebody and injured a 5-year-old. Now Parson just commuted his sentence.
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
Well, Parson.
Yeah, it's just Parson. But I do want to say that I think one of the special aspects of the grassroots movement in Missouri is everybody is able to work at their own speed, utilize their own talents, do their own thing. But then you have other groups and other people, and I'll just say Missouri Freedom Initiative is one of them. Echo Alexander, who is very active down here in Southwest Missouri, they're able to pull in people and groups and kind of just work together and then do their own thing and then come back and work together and do their own thing. So it's the synergy of all the individual minds. They always say conservatives are like herding cats and the liberals are all in lockstep. But the thing is, if you allow people to express their own talents in ways that can sometimes work with yours, and then you let them move in and out of circles and groups and come in as they can. And it's just this synergy that I find absolutely almost magical in Missouri. I've never seen it anywhere else.
Yeah, I want to point out something Ozark Freedom Gal said here, and I did know this. Oklahoma eliminated sales tax on food this week. And so their governor clearly decided that was a good idea for the people of the state of Oklahoma. Unfortunately, Governor Parson, as much as we have fought him, and we actually met with him in person on this, and he's not there. He just doesn't believe in it. And we do have to alter our Constitution to totally get rid of it, because they were very smart about the way they put it in 1968 in the Missouri Constitution. 1%, or the first 1% of that sales tax on food goes to the public schools. So guess who fought us all the way and talked about how devastating it would be for the public schools? It would take away $160 per child per year in the public schools if we eliminated the sales tax on food. Well, the fact is, it's an immoral tax. For us to give up a lump of flesh every time we need to eat so we can survive, so we can live, the schools get money? That doesn't sound like a good deal to me. So the schools think it's a great idea, though. In fact, they even want more. So that's not only on the sales tax side, but also on the bond side. This is something we've talked about ad nauseum. But thank you for posting that, Ozarks Freedom Gal. I'd forgotten about that.
Patrick, don't you think part of the problem, though, is this rhino situation, which we're working to do, because they're just able to do what they want. and not listen to the people because they've got these positions that they've gotten into, and they're
That's
like
right.
barnacles.
And that's why, basically every 2 years, we, the grassroots, feel like we have a little more input and a little bit more say during an election year. So people are a little more magnanimous and work with us a little bit more. And so that may be the case. But the fact of the matter is, I don't think Parson will sign. I think he will veto at sales tax, elimination of sales tax on food in the state of Missouri. I really think he would veto that. And then on top of which, we never could get it on the house of the floor, or the floor of the House. We could not get it there. We absolutely, despite enormous effort, thousands of phone calls, we couldn't get it done, gang. So there were problems with the Speaker of the House. That would be Dean Plocker. Now, would he have let it go through this year? I don't know, but we tried for 2 years, and we literally could not get it on the floor of the House. We couldn't. So with the third most popular bill in 2022 was actually the most called, the most emails, the most attention went on removal of sales tax on food. And we literally couldn't get it on to, we got it on the calendar, but it just would never went on the floor. So in 2022, Dean Plocker was the floor leader. He was not the speaker. In 2023, we tried again. And actually couldn't, and Dean Plocker specifically said no more tax breaks, bills are going to be heard this year. And I don't know that any were heard at that point, but that was 2023. So at any rate, guys, I'm just being honest about it. It's not like I need to pick on Dean Plocker anymore at this point in time, but because this is in the past, but it is a fact. And the governor was not open to the idea of removal of sales tax on food either. So this is the kind of people we deal with. This is why we have to drain the swamp. There are taxes we do need to eliminate that will so regressive in nature that they touch every single soul in the state of Missouri. Anyone who buys food in the state of Missouri would benefit from that. And then we couldn't get it done. And it's the public schools put up a stink too. So I'm not going to give them an out either. The public schools came forth and were saying, $160 per student, you're taking away from, their lunches, you're taking away from their books, do it for the kids, do it for the kids, don't worry about it. We have to have it. No.
$160 per student isn't hardly anything versus what they actually spend, which is in the tens of thousands of dollars.
Yep. So at any rate, that's kind of, the area I wanted to take that in. And I did write about that in my email. And those of you who have been in the initiative as far back as 2022, remember our drive to get rid of sales tax on food. We were putting op-eds in newspapers across the state. If you guys remember, we even did it in Plocker's home district. I mean, we tried every trick in the book to get attention to that. And we just absolutely could not get it done. And we couldn't get it done through Parson either when we were trying to get it done through a special session or an extraordinary session, whatever you want to call it. But it is a fact. We could not get it done. So, and I don't want to belabor the point on that. I think it probably is worth it because Oklahoma just got it done. And we can't even get it done. And they probably didn't even have to put effort into it. And that sucks. And this is why we must drain the swamp in the state of Missouri. This is why we must drain it. Because getting rid of unnecessary taxes when we have surplus after surplus after surplus, year after year after year, and we get no tax cuts, we have a problem. And Parson wants to go ahead and literally spend, I think it's something like $1.7 billion more than we're taking in this year. We're going to go into deficit spending in 2024, gang. No, I'm not happy about that. So at any rate, okay. Anyone else want to talk about that a little bit before we move on?
Mary Elizabeth Coleman had put on Twitter that Oklahoma got it done. Why haven't we?
Mary Elizabeth did a switcheroo on us in committee.
I reminded her of that,
Yep.
which I'm sure she did not appreciate.
Yep. Yep.
That's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah. So, All right. So basically, Senator Coleman, if you're watching, your bill was a good bill until you had a substitute, and then it was a bad bill. So, and if you had done a switcheroo on the floor again, no one would trust you. So, at any rate, it seemed like she was looking for the mileage and not for the actual effect of the bill. She was just looking for the mileage having the bill would get her. That's what it looked like, anyway. But I do think it's important, folks, that we look at this stuff not only from cutting, not cutting, but not voting for bonds in schools when it's unnecessary, an unnecessary bond. I think it's a civic duty for us to say no to those school districts. I believe that. We have to keep them in check. Just like we, the Missouri Freedom Initiative, are working to try and keep Jefferson City in check, we're trying to keep our school districts in check too, because those are government schools. They will spend as much money as you will give them, and they will find new things to spend money on. For instance, bringing in psychologists from private concerns into the school to talk to the kids without their parents' consent or knowledge. That is a thing, by the way. That's not a joke. So they're finding all kinds of crazy stuff to spend money on. And when they're going to spend money on crazy stuff like that, I think that's where we have to say, I'm sorry, we're cutting you off. We got to cut you off at this point. You're supposed to be educating the kids, and you're not doing that. And the performance, across Missouri is terrible. Terrible, even compared relative to other states that are also bad. Guys, we can do better. We can do better. But you know what? It's going to take us, the grassroots, to literally get involved and fix this mess, because the politicians clearly can't do it on their own. We have plenty of evidence to back that up. Okay. All right. I'm going to get off the soapbox. Anyone come on in with anything you got?
Well, they're so used to being able to take as much money as they want, partly through that bond thing where they just keep rolling the debt over and getting more money and stuff to schools. So they're just so used to being able to get a tax increase no matter what.
Yep.
That they don't know how to be fiscally responsible. And that's another thing you might want to ask a potential school board candidate is, do they have a plan to rein in spending?
Yep. That's a very, very good question. And local control, and are you going to rein in spending? Another one is, if they're going for a bond at the same time, are they supportive of that bond, especially if it's not to build a new school building? It should tell you volumes when you hear that. Someone had mentioned something here about the rally that's going on the 21st. So I'm going to go ahead and put that up on the screen, gang, for a little bit here. We're still here. We're still talking. But look at that. Monday, March 11th at 1:30 p.m. in the Capitol Rotunda. First floor. You can't miss it. We are having another freedom rally. It's a rally at the Capitol to take back Missouri. So some of the names of the organizations that are sponsoring it, of course, the Missouri Freedom Initiative, Repack Mo, Rogue Politics, Jody Grace, Missouri Precinct Project, Liberty Link MoPac. We have Freedom Principle Missouri. We have Informed Health Choice Missouri and Armorvine. So a lot of folks are participating in this. Actually, I have the honor of being MC for this particular rally. So you can expect, your favorites there. Jody Grace will be there. Catherine Kirby will be there, of course. I know everyone loves them. Let's see. Freedom Principle Missouri, that's Byron Keeling. He would be there. Informed Health Choice Missouri, that's Jennifer Barker. Repack Mo, I'm not exactly sure of the names involved with that. Mo Precinct Project, Missouri Precinct Project, that would be Beva Lean. So all the big names that in Missouri grassroots will be showing up for this event. So at any rate, I do recommend you come in. We're also engaging in Knock and Shock that day. So if you come for Knock and Shock, we will break. Well, I have to break at about 1:00 to get ready for the rally there. And I understand that we definitely have confirmation from Mike Moon, from Bill Eigel. We have confirmation from Bill Hardwick, and there's one other person I'm forgetting of confirmation from. This is the last time I've heard. So we're going to have a lot of the basically the the Freedom Caucus actually speaking at this event too. So please do consider joining us. This is a big one. This is, once again, this is literally, I don't know how to really explain these freedom rallies to you other than literally what it is a coalescing of the grassroots organizations across Missouri to work with the Freedom Caucus to kill bad legislation and support good legislation. And that's kind of what it is. It's more than that, though, too. It is literally a place to gather with like-minded people where the actual grassroots in Missouri that have very different functions, different goals, they have different charters. They do different things, but we can all come together, basically through the Freedom Caucus to actually get stuff done. That's kind of what I would say the main purpose of the rally is. However, I want everyone to understand the Freedom Caucus does not sponsor these rallies. So this is grassroots sponsored only. I mean, actually, Jody Grace and Catherine Dreyer are the two main heads behind this, actually. So in case you wanted to know. But please do consider coming to that event. It's a very big event, and we'd like to see as many people as possible there. And then join us for Knock and Shock if you can afterwards. So that should be very, very fun. Trust me. You'll have a good time on this one. Okay, I'm sorry. Off the soapbox again. Isn't that strange? Awkward silence now. A little bit of a,
Yeah, well, I'm tired, man. I just got done putting a starter in and all that before I came in here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not fully up to par here.
Yep. Let's see. And Tez Grande is saying, and did Pat say Knock and Shock before? I say it a lot. So, and in fact, what's really cool is other states are starting to use that too. I love that. I absolutely love that because that is Knock and Shock. Go ahead.
I think he meant Knock and Shock before the rally.
Oh, no, actually, yes, it starts before the rally. Knock and Shock will start at 9 a.m. That's usually when we start. It's usually an all-day event. Not everyone is there all day, but some people show up for 4 hours. Some people show up for 2. Some people are there for the entire event. We usually end it at 5, by the way, because that's usually by that time legislators are going home, so there's no point anymore. So yep,
I'll be there.
Yep.
I'll be there the whole day, but I don't know. It might be like 9:30 when I get there, just because it's a 2.5 hour drive for me.
Sure. Sure. And that's okay. And a lot of us drive long ways to go to the Capitol. It's a huge sacrifice for those who do. And, for instance, for Retha and I to go up there, it's 2 hours, 45 minutes for us to get up there. So, and some people like Doug and Maya, when they drive up, I believe it's closer to 4 hours for them to get up there. So it's
it's right about 3 hours.
Yep. Okay, gotcha. Do you have a little bit of a lead foot there, Doug?
Never.
Okay, gotcha. Understood. Okay. Yep.
Nothing that I'll admit to.
Yeah, understood. And by the way, I'm sorry. That was, kind of a loaded question and you kind of put you on the spot and everything, but
hey, remember plausible deniability.
Yeah. Well,
exactly.
Doug, in this day and age, and with what we're doing, you need to trade out the lead foot for a gold foot.
I would make that trade.
I think that's a good trade. Sure.
Hey, lead is a good metal to hit.
The Knock and Shock and rally.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there's so many people that say they don't have time or they're busy. We have a farm where we have to milk dairy animals before we go, and we wake up early. We get all our farm chores done. We go up there. We leave a little bit early. But we still get our farm chores done at the end of the day, so it is possible.
It is, and thank you for mentioning that. And that is true, by the way, with Doug and Maya. So it's a huge sacrifice for them to make it up to the Capitol for a day, and they do it in style. And so I'm very appreciative for Doug and Maya making the major events that the Missouri Freedom Initiative does. And guys, the rally promises to be a lot of fun too, but Knock and Shock is going to be a blast as well. So trust me, there's a lot going on that day. And also, always, 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 when you come up to the Capitol, always make time to visit with your rep and your senator and pull them off the floor if they're on the floor. So you don't have to call them up and say, hey, I'm coming up. Can you make some time for me? No, just show up. And if they're on the floor, tell their LA you'd like to talk to them. Please pull them off the floor. Please remember to do that. This is very, very important because, once again, they are there for you. That is their job. So, I understand if your rep is Dean Plocker, you're probably not going to pull him off the floor, or maybe the floor leader, but virtually everyone else is pullable on the floor, and that includes the Senate as well. So at any rate, we'll make sure, and that's another thing too, when we go around for knock and shock, we're hitting all these offices, all these reps, all these senators. I want you to remember another thing for what we're about to do with gold and silver. When they serve on a committee, they are serving the entire state. So what do I mean by that? So a representative is elected, and he is elected in a district, and that district contains the people that person represents. So that's a fact. Now, technically, they represent everyone in the state, technically, but when it comes to a committee, a seat on a committee, they are serving the entire state with that capacity. That is the truth. So basically, I'm going to ask everyone, basically for the Financial Institutions Committee, we need to be calling them because there's a possibility they may exec on gold and silver on Tuesday. That means we need to be calling them this weekend and Monday and even early Tuesday and asking them to pass the silver and gold bill, HB1955. If you were looking for something to do at this point, that's what we do. Call them and email them, the folks on that particular committee. So I'm taking a break again, gang. So anyone who wants to talk.
I'd like to say something.
Sure, Voodoo.
When you email your committees, I noticed that a lot of my responses say out of district when they reply to me, and I don't think that should have anything to do with it. So don't be afraid if you send an email and you get something back that says out of district, because 99% of the time your representative is not going to be in that committee.
Yep. So, and once again, Voodoo, you brought up a valid point. That's their email. That's the return email that's standard for most of them. That if you're not in my district, I will talk to you, but I won't make you a priority kind of thing. But when they serve on a committee, they actually do serve the entire state from that committee, from that position. So that is a fact. Actually, that's actually within the rules, and that's within the laws of the state of Missouri. So actually, those return emails they have are just, basically for anyone emailing them, basically as a representative. But when you're emailing them as a person on a committee, they don't have a separate email address for that. It's the same email address that the people in their district would use. So I think that's the way it works. So, but at any rate, let's keep calling. Let's keep the heat on, gang. And we are making progress on silver and gold. A lot of work has gone into silver and gold, gang. A lot of work has gone into it this year, and we are making progress. And actually, Senator Eigel's SB735 is on the move again. So Senator Eigel's bills are out again. So it might be on the floor. He's thinking it'll be on the floor week after next. So on the Senate floor, we might have a big event going on with that bill, basically a week after next. So we'll keep you apprised of that, by the way. It's on the calendar now.
So if it goes to the Senate, if HB 1955 goes to the Senate, will they combine the two?
I'm not sure how that works. Usually Senate and House bills cannot be combined. I don't think they actually can be combined. But we have two companion bills that are actually competing in their relative houses. Now, it's how they get treated when they move to the next house is where we find difficulty generally. The House bill is moving now. It's actually, honest to God, moving. So, but bills Senator Eigels is now moving as well. We'll support both of them. We'll work both of them. They both will have the same exact language here as soon as the committee substitute is accepted for the executive session. So, in other words, Bill Hardwick's bill will look exactly like Bill Eigels' bill, exactly like it. So there'll be no word change other than, the sponsor. That's the only word change it would be between the bills, I think. Let's see. Ozark Freedom Gal says, I'll be there, and I'm bringing a new friend. I met a lady at the caucus this morning who's interested in the initiative and may be getting involved. Well, that's awesome, Carrie. Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. Yeah, guys, tell your friends and your family about the Missouri Freedom Initiative and the kind of activism we engage in. We are the kind of people that want to literally go toe-to-toe with politicians, talk to them face-to-face, and talk to them about bills that need to die and talk to them about bills that need to go on and become law. We also want to hear what their point of view is, their perspective. We're not going to preach to them. We're going to have a conversation with them. And believe me, those conversations can be very, very interesting sometimes. Okay, let's see. Freedom Nettle says, Liberty Revolutionary and anyone else who didn't make it last Tuesday, y'all really missed out. It was a great day. Hope to see you on March 11th. So, yep, Liberty was still under the weather at that time.
Yep. I was still hacking up along, too, so I wasn't really going to be able to speak for anything either, so...
Let's see. Misty says, Dean Plocker is frequently off the floor during the debate of bills, even when the House is in session. It's possible. The floor leader also spends time away from the floor, so it's not impossible. So Misty is actually correcting me. If your representative has to be happens to be Dean Plocker or John Patterson, you can still pull them, is what Misty is saying. You can still pull them off the floor and meet with them in their offices. So I would think it would be a tad more difficult, but Misty's correcting me on that, saying that it is very possible to do that. Let's see. Sam I Am says, working on my homemade gold silver a la Trump Garden sneakers for the knock and shock. Okay, that sounds like it's going to be fun. Sam I Am, I think I'm looking forward to that. Okay.
I have to go find some other things and kind of mix up my attire a little bit too.
Gotcha. I'll definitely. Well, hang on. I'll do gold this time, guys. I'll be gold vest and gold tie guy. I'll do that for the 11th.
We need a Mr. T.
Mr. T. That's right, with gold, big, huge, gaudy gold chains and gold rings.
Okay, I need to lose a few pounds first, but I need to find I need to get a decent pair of slacks and a vest,
Yep.
and some kind of a, I don't know, maybe a bow tie or something, but also have a trench coat and a fedora.
And a fedora, no less.
Go what is that, 1920s?
Yeah, there we go. The
1920s
roaring
was a
20s.
good time.
Sure was.
It was a good time. I mean, we had gold and silver. We had, a good economy at the time. Even though there was a crash, it picked up quick because the Fed didn't involve itself. And you could still order machine guns to your front door with, through the catalog.
Mm-hmm. Hey, guys, I want to read the very last paragraph of the main part of the email that I'd sent out earlier today, gang, because I want to give a shout out to all of our friends in the state of Missouri that run grassroots organizations or involved in other grassroots organizations, because they deserve a tip of the hat. So I'm going to read this paragraph. I, for one, want to celebrate the diversity. See, I got the word diversity in there. Diversity of the skill sets, abilities, interests, and efforts of the grassroots in Missouri. At this point in time, Missouri, we, the grassroots, are the guardians of liberty, the warriors who pledge our time, talent, and treasure to God and the freedom He gave us. Protecting our liberties is our mandate, our calling, and our passion. The coalition of diverse conservative grassroots is the best hope for Missouri that we have seen, and it's our time to make sure that this coalition is strengthened by our commonalities. Newly formed Freedom Caucus is also part of this coalition. We had advocacy through them and their efforts. Fine-tuning our goals and resolve will always be a part of this endeavor, but our ships must always sail in the same direction. Our collective progeny will pay the price for our lack of action. We cannot take freedom for granted anymore because the wolf is at the door. So I want to say thank you to Jody Grace, to Jennifer Barker, to Lisa Panett. I want to say thanks to Jim Pellis. And Jim Pellis, I think of him as kind of like a big guy within the Republican Central Committees, but he is not, but he is just so well connected in them. So he is considered a very big figure there as far as I'm concerned. Ron Calzone with Missouri First. Byron Keelan with, Freedom Principle Missouri. All of you guys, and for everyone I just missed, we've got Griswold. We've got, oh dear God, so many names, so many faces, so many talented people out there in the grassroots in Missouri making this state better by helping to drain the swamp in Jefferson City. And a tip of the hat to you guys, because we need all of us in this fight, all of us. And guys, I can't say it enough. I am so grateful for you, for Gretchen, for Liberty, for Voodoo. Retha, of course, she is heading up her own deal with the schools. That's downright impressive. And Shane is with us today. Shane actually went with me up to Jefferson City on Thursday. And he lives in another state. But the thing is, guys, it is us. It is us. We cannot count on these politicians to do it alone. I've often been asked, basically with the relationships that I've developed and the friendships I've developed up in Jefferson City over the years, is there anyone up there that I really trust? And my answer is I trust a lot of them, but I verify, just like Reagan said. So this is the deal. Basically, it's us, the people. We are the government. We elect people to represent us, but we also need to keep a very, very close eye on our friends up there and possibly a closer eye on people we don't consider friends to make sure things go as smoothly as possible and we don't have garbage coming through our legislature. And thank God we've got watchdogs like Ron Calzone, who have been doing this for 30 years. 30 years. He has been helping to keep our state as red as possible, conservative, Christian as possible. A lot of us are joining in well after he started, and he's told me stories. He says he remembers when he was first going up to the Capitol 30 years ago, and there might be 4 citizens up there on any given day, and that was it. This is a big change today. It's a big change. You guys go up there and you see, in many cases, hundreds of citizens up there. So we're starting to drown out the lobbyists, which is a good thing. And by the way, lobbyist is not a dirty word. There are some bad lobbyists, but there's some good lobbyists too. For instance, let's talk about our friend Epen Thampy for a second. He's a good guy, but he is a lobbyist. So, guys, there are some good lobbyists out there too that are trying to do the right thing. So they do actually exist. And Epen is a great example. The guys from the Citizens for Sound Money, also lobbyists, but also doing great work. And I'm asked not to talk about what they got done in Florida because it actually hasn't happened yet, but it should be happening next week, by the way. Next week, we should be getting some news out of Florida about what they accomplished, in regards to silver and gold legislation in the state of Florida. Okay, I'll get off the soapbox again. I just wanted to make sure that we got that shout out to everyone in the grassroots. And I'm sorry if I forgot your organization or forgot your name, but you guys know I love you. Okay, all right. Anything you guys want to bring up? Anything I've forgotten about?
When
I'm trying to
we
think
went
here.
to the meet and greet for Representative Hudson on Thursday, I did bring up that bill that you and I testified on Tuesday, the 1676.
Anti-CBDC.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he said he would look at it and potentially co-sponsor that.
Okay, gotcha. Fantastic.
I actually testified against that one specifically because it's insufficient for any kind of protection.
Yeah, Caleb posted his witness forms on Twitter. So if anyone's following, Caleb on Twitter, you'll be able to see a very excellent testimony for not only for HB 1955, but also for HB 1676.
I testified more against HB 1676, just because of its, it was just outright insufficiency, because it really would have no bearing on our.
But if that did get through along with gold and silver, I mean, that's
if it went through with it, that'd be great. But if I don't want it to be seen as a distraction.
Yep, I agree.
Like this is good enough.
Yep, I agree. I agree. And many states are doing both, by the way. Many states are doing both.
Yeah, and that'd be great if it was both. At the same time, I have to just the fact of what it would do, and particularly I think because it would be without an alternative, it would either be shot down in a court, or if it wasn't, due to the interstate contracts using, that go through the Unified Commercial Code, you would either not be able to receive any kind of federal funds if they switch solely to a CBDC, but also, which I don't consider that a bad thing, but for the argument, but on the other side of that, any kind of contractors that would be out of state that Missouri would hire, like for, materials for the roads or things like that. If that goes through a CBDC, Missouri can't use it.
Yep. So
like gold and silver is really the only option.
Yep. It's the actionable option for a transactable currency. Anti-CDBC is not. What it is.
Gold and silver is really the only option.
Yep. It's the. Oh, and we got
okay.
feedback.
Back feed.
Okay. So many of them consider these bills linked, but they are separate. Gold and silver is an absolute necessity. Getting the anti-CDBC done is kind of optional. So, that's basically, if once you have gold and silver, you have another option for the people to use for transactions in their state. It's really actually that simple. And many states, and by the way, I've done videos with Ron's Basement. I even failed to put those on the email. I've done some videos with other guys, on YouTube. But the fact of the matter is there's actually 23 states right now. I was corrected by the Citizens for Sound Money. I saw 15 states with gold and silver legislation. They corrected me and they said, no, there's actually 23 this year. That's exactly how many there were last year as well. 23 states with silver and gold legislation. So it's the same amount of states doing it. Many of them are doing the same thing again, just like we are, because they didn't get it through. But then we have people like Arkansas that went through like a bullet, Tennessee that went through like a bullet, Mississippi that went through like a bullet.
Arkansas went through in 2 weeks with a tornado.
Yep, that's right.
It hit their capital city.
That's their Capitol building got hit by a tornado. And then it was 3 days after that is when the governor signed it. So they've got their stuff together. Okay, also, those of you who don't get on the email, and I do recommend you be on our email list, because that is the best way for me to contact everyone in a very short period of time. And so those of you who don't know, we had to cancel our event for March 9th. And that was basically our school seminar that we were having. And actually, that is going to be rescheduled for the fall. So for those of you who did not know that, this has been canceled for March, and we're going to resume this probably in September. And so October? Okay, gotcha. In October. Yeah. So I want everyone to remember that, and when we do get around to that in October, please, and we'll advertise that well in advance. Let everyone know, and it's going to probably be in Springfield. Is that right, Gretchen?
Probably in Springfield, but it's possible it could be, in Ozark or even Nixa. But I think we're looking at Springfield right now. It's getting bigger. We were thinking too small.
Yep. So that's the deal, gang. And also we've been we've been. I shouldn't say we've been. I've not been. But I know that there are other places in the state asking us to hold this same seminar in their area. And so that's something that's being looked into as well. So it looks like it might be kind of a traveling kind of a deal. But we're not sure to what extent. But at the same time, it's very nice. I mean, we did hear about that. There were requests from different parts of the state for the whole gang to show up and do the presentation for them there as well. However, that may not be totally necessary because we do intend to make a production quality video out of this when we do it. And that may cover, basically enough of the data that, basically anyone could actually have it, present it to a group of people just by showing the YouTube video or something like that. But that is still coming, but it has been canceled for March 9th. If you made plans to be going, you got your day free now. So, but March 11th, of course, the rally at the Capitol, that's going forward. So please join us for that. Okay, gang, is there any other business you can think of that we need to get to or anything we've forgotten about?
Not that I can think of at the moment, but then again, I'm kind of blank brain tonight.
Gotcha. Old man brain. That's what they call it. Yeah, I've got it too, Caleb, and I've got it like twice as bad as you.
I feel like it. Yeah. Yeah, I end up having to remind you of stuff.
Yeah, and it's the curse of being 52, gang. I meant my brain isn't as functional as it was when I was 40. So my advice to everyone out there is stop having your birthdays. Okay, stay the age you're at right now, and just don't get any older. That's my advice to you.
I forget my birthday. Does that count?
Yeah. No, that's perfect. Actually, if you don't even remember your birthday, you can't celebrate it. So therefore, yeah. So people will tell me all the time, that's nonsense. You biologically age whether or not you have a birthday. And well, I've got my beliefs, you've got yours. So, we'll no, I'm teasing. It's something I used to tell my daughter all the time is stop celebrating your birthdays when you turn 21. Just stay right there. Okay, gang. Well, I'll tell you what, I will wrap it up, but I will remind you, Sam and Trish will be on tomorrow night. And Sam's got some very powerful recordings that he's going to be playing for a good part of the show, but he will be speaking as well and giving a new report on smart meters. So be sure to join Sam and Trish Britton, the Missouri Liberty Radio, and that's molibertyradio.us. Unless you're in the Owensville area, you can actually pick them up on 101.3 FM. So they are on the FM dial. Also, please don't forget to continue your calls and emails to the Financial Institutions Committee in the Missouri House in support of HB 1955. That would be Representative Bill Hardwick's gold and silver bill. So we're not done pushing that through yet. It's being worked really hard. And once again, I'm working it real hard too, gang. I mean, on the inside, I'm working it very, very hard. But calls and emails are always still welcome. So we're continuing to do that. Plus, also, I'm waiting to see something here or hear something positive about a specific date that SB735 is going on the floor in the Senate. Because when we hear about that, we need to start making calls and emails to people in the Senate to let that bill through. And so at any rate, that's something that we need to consider as well, but we're not quite there yet. I don't know exactly what's going on with that, and I don't have a date yet. But my understanding is week after next, it's going on the floor. That's my understanding. So I need to be checking the formal calendar, especially since Senator Eigel was specific, and he said a week and a half when I talked to him on Thursday. So that tells me that it's literally going to be coming up next week. Not this coming up week, but the week after. So we need to keep a good eye on this and keep shepherding these gold and silver bills that are so important to us and many other grassroots as well. I really, really am very, very happy when we see all kinds of people. In fact, at the hearing, there were people I didn't even know that came up to testify for gold and silver. So this is a popular bill statewide. People show up to testify for it that have nothing to do with the Missouri Freedom Initiative. So, once again, this is everyone's money. So how do you like that? Everyone's money versus the Federal Reserve's money. Shoot, man. I think the answer is pretty clear on that. We need to go with everybody's money, not the Federal Reserve's money. Okay, and Freedom Nettle actually gave us a link in the Rumble for Sam and Trish's radio station for tomorrow at 6 p.m. That's when Sam and Trish go on with Off the Cuff. And I think that pretty much covers everything for tonight. I want to start by thanking Gretchen and Retha for helping us out tonight and all the stuff you guys have done for the school district. We're 1 month away now from probably being glued to our TV screens until 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night to find out what bonds went through and what bonds didn't. And no, I'm serious. I will be. Retha and I will be. I guarantee it. Retha doesn't normally stay up that late, but I think that night she might stay up.
Let's party.
Yeah, we should have a watch party. Maybe we should do a live watch party with the Missouri Freedom Initiative that night.
That might be kind of fun.
Yep, I think Gretchen and Retha
Oh yeah, that's
deserve
going to
that.
be a big one though too.
Yep, because
Oh, for sure.
Well, you got to think Owensville, Herman,
Yep,
those guys too.
yep. So
It's
yep.
going to be a big one.
So all right, there's another event now. April 2nd, we'll have that'll be a Tuesday. We'll do a live stream. And just like we do our regular Saturday night live streams, except it'll be a watch party. So come in and it's going to be bring your own beverage. So for the live stream.
All right.
So, and let's see how things shake out in the state of Missouri. Let's see if some of these unnecessary bonds are said no to by the people. That would be a great thing. So, all right, we got another event to look forward to. We'll continue working on the schools up until the last minute. You guys will see videos coming out and stuff. So we're doing everything we can to make sure everyone is aware in the state of Missouri about unnecessary school bonds, about deceptive ballot language. That's a big one, gang. Once again, if you have on your ballot no tax increase bond issue, you are automatically being lied to by your superintendent and your school board to deceive you into voting yes to giving more money to the school district. And that is the truth. That is the absolute truth.
Another one you got to watch out. Another one you got to watch out for is estimated to remain unchanged.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a big red flag. I've seen many times. Yes, communities have gotten burned hard. That language included.
Yep.
So that's, if you see that on your ballot language, if you happen to, if they posted it on the website, the school website, and you actually see that language, that's an automatic vote no, because then now you are subject to tax increases.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So that until you get out of that contract.
Yep. Oh, hang on. Ozark Freedom Gal said, how about the caucuses? We did talk, that's right, that was before we started. I am terribly sorry. Guys, we normally get in a half an hour before the show starts in Gilded and just kind of have some group time and let our hair down, talk a little bit. And we often do that when we're done with the live stream as well. But I'll tell you what, Gretchen, let's give you the floor and kind of tell us what it was like at the caucus in Christian County today, if you don't mind.
It was very unified. It was easy. It was fun. The CCRCC hadn't done one since I think 2012. So it was a new crop and it was the first time, but they did a fantastic job. President Trump won hands down. I think it was 94.7% of the votes. There were 20 votes for Nikki Haley. That set off a storm of, I mean, I think they were just Democrats, quite frankly. They came up and were accusing President Trump of insurrection, trying to hang tents, I mean, you just knew it was, and then, how they usually look, they always just look a little off. And, the postmenopausal ladies and, all that kind of stuff. And there were a few of those. And then there were a few of these real young, idealistic, inclusive, love everybody, young people. But they were listened to respectfully. But I have to tell you, the question was called twice on a couple of these things because they just wouldn't, they don't want to let go and they just want to keep going on. And they said enough. Nobody agreed a thing with them. And then there were numerous planks after President Trump was voted on. I left after, I think, the first plank, but I know they were still going when there was number 8. And I posted a few of them in the chat here. There were 8 planks that I know of, and there were probably some more. But it was discussion. It was good. It was packed. It was every seat was filled. So there was no kvetching, no nothing. You know, the color guard from Ozark just did a great job. I'm going to do an article on it because I have an angle about these Democrats that came in there. They claim they've been Republicans their whole lives and all, but you know, they were very upset because when you came in, you were asked to sign a pledge of kind of like a loyalty pledge to the platform. Okay. And so they signed it, but then they came in and were quite angry because they felt like if they had to adhere to the platform, that was really bad. We weren't a big tent party anymore. Okay. You know, so it's like, well, then go be a Democrat if you don't like it. You know, I mean, so there was some of that, just a little bit of that silliness. The vast majority of people were very purposeful. They saw the ploy immediately. It was politely listened to, and then it was quashed. Bada bing, bada boom. And just nicely done. It was the first one I'd ever attended. There weren't the crazy hats. There weren't all the t-shirts. There were nothing like that because, you know, it was Trump all the way. So.
Okay. So it was a pretty positive experience all around, you would say?
Very much so. Very positive experience. And I'd say about half the people left as soon as President Trump got elected. There weren't that, you know, there was the first plank that went off. The first plank that went off was, oh goodness sake, I can't even remember what it was now. And that went through quite some discussion. They tried to turn it into a resolution. So you had some of the Democrat types wanting to turn this, and it was the loyalty pledge. That's what it was. They wanted to put in the platform plank that just as the people that came in to vote today had to sign kind of a pledge to the platform, so should the candidates and the legislators have to sign that they are in agreement with the platform and they would adhere to it, right? So anyway, a couple of the Democrat types tried to make it a resolution, and it almost started to get a little traction, but a couple of people got up and said, resolutions have no teeth, absolutely none. It needs to be a plank on the platform. And that was quickly agreed to, and it was passed, but it did go through a little bit of discussion. That was the very first one.
There's a question. I'm sorry, Gretchen, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay, there's a question from Maria28, and this is on YouTube. Maria's asking, did anyone vote for Nikki Haley? Just wondering.
Nikki Haley, there were 20 votes for Nikki, but like I said, there was a strange little thing. A well-known public figure, elected school board member, got up and kind of started a, you know, we shouldn't, this is going down a very dangerous road with the, you know, having to agree to this platform, you know, and formalize your agreement with a Republican platform. That was kind of a dangerous road, blah, blah, blah. He sat down, and then all of a sudden these people popping up going, I agree with him. I agree with him. I agree with him. You know, and, you know, we have to be inclusive, and, you know, it was just that sort of thing. And then of course the insurrection, the gal got up and started talking about the insurrection. Then it started to get a little, people were kind of going, boo, you know. And the Don Carricker, who's the head of the CCRCC, he very graciously gave her 3 minutes, and then he went, okay, thank you. And that was it for them after that. I mean, It's just ludicrous stuff. So, and everybody figured it out real quickly. I mean, the people who were on the ball who were there were 375 people minus the 20 that were, and they were really on the ball. They knew what was what. It was really, really good. Some of the planks were very poorly written.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they didn't get, they had some parts of them were good, but then you'd look at some other parts of them, they were really silly and you shouldn't, so I don't know how those got in there, but whoever's writing them, they need to be a little bit more tight. Let's put it that way. So,
Gotcha.
But it was overall a really great experience.
Misty Atkinson reports that Miller County nominated only Trump and voted 109-0 for Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And I know,
Wow.
I saw on Twitter a little while ago, there's lots and lots of people reporting on Twitter, Trump won Missouri, gang. I mean, so Super Tuesday.
Trump won every county in Missouri.
Yep.
Yes, 100%.
So for those of you who haven't had time to look into it or what have you, just based on what I'm seeing on Twitter alone, Trump won this hands down. And we all expected this. And
Nikki Haley
go ahead.
Nikki Haley couldn't even win against nobody in Nevada. I mean,
there were some people on Twitter going, she really was a tool of Democrats. I would say it was more the globalists. She was, the establishment. And of course, the Democrats were probably told to support her. And I do think some of the people that were in the caucus today, I know some of the people that were in the know said they saw at least one Democrat they knew that had been registering as a Republican to come in and disrupt. So if there was one, there was more than one. And there were more around the state that were doing that, but they basically had very little effect. So.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, there you have it, gang. But that was the Christian County experience. Gretchen, let everyone know where your blog is again, if you don't mind.
Right2winozarks.com.
There we go. Right
to win Ozarks. Yeah. Right to win is a business term. And
Gotcha.
talks about being able to win in business.
There you go. So that is where you can find Gretchen's work. She's been reporting on local school districts, local library issues for quite some time now. I'm thinking many of you who have not seen her blog before, once you see it, you'll get hooked and you'll actually bookmark it and go back regularly to see what Gretchen's writing about. And Gretchen covers stuff that's happening statewide as well. But one of the things that Gretchen wrote about that really got my attention was when she was writing about the school boards and the rules they have to follow and who really controls the school boards. And she wrote that very, very well. So I'm thinking that was probably about 2 months ago when you wrote that, maybe 3, when you wrote about the school Borg. Remember that? And you had a picture.
You coined that for me, but it was the Missouri School Board Association.
That's right.
And it was great. Yeah. That well, I'd been asked to take a look at that handbook.
Yep.
And I didn't have anything to do, so I just went through that handbook, and it was quite the revelation. And you understand now why the school boards exercise no power almost.
Yep, that's right. And not only that, but a lot of the policies, procedures are really Marxist in nature. It's really scary, actually. And this book is actually from the Missouri the Missouri School Board Association. They probably don't even write the book. It's probably written by a private organization for them. But the fact of the matter is, if you read this manual, which you will find on our website, and that's mofree.org. It's on the front page of our website. Because it's so hard to find on MSBA's website, we've made it very easy for everyone to find on the Missouri Freedom Initiative website. Once you read this, you'll go, oh, geez, that's why the schools are communist. It's actually that bad.
Yeah, so the Missouri School Boards Association is a private, you'd consider it an NGO. The State Board of Education is the one that, would have, but the one we're talking about is the MSBA.
Yep, MSBA.
And they are a private NGO. Yep.
And so, yes, their woke agenda is virtually on every page of their handbook. that goes to school board members once they're elected. And they're groomed by someone who's been in there 20 or more years. If you look at virtually any school board across the state of Missouri, you'll almost always find someone who's been there 20 years or more. And that person actually grooms the new people who get elected and tells them what the rules are, tells them basically what they need to say yes or no to, who they can talk to and who they can't. They let them know you're not really supposed to be going out and talking to the public about school board issues. My goodness, we elect these people, and now we can't talk to them. So never worry, because they're going to spend $200,000 on a superintendent that will represent the school board to you. So that's only $200,000 a year, so you can talk to your school board. So that's a fair price.
They also have a lot of lawyers that come from these organizations that also tell them how not to communicate and how not to, engage with the public.
Yep.
So
thank you for that point, Gretchen. And that alone should tell you all you need to know before you go to the ballot. Basically having to do with school board. Please vet your school board members, gang. No one's going to do it for you. The papers aren't going to do it for you. The media won't do it for you. And, frankly, no one's going to do it for you. Pick up the phone or message them, email them, ask them if they want local control of the school district or if they prefer the federal and state control of the school district. Ask them what their preference is. And if they can't even answer your question, get them out. I'm not voting for you. So I don't know what else to say, gang, but we're going to keep pounding that drum literally for the next month, because we have literally 1 month to go for that election, the special election for anything having to do with schools, April 2nd. Don't forget that date. You need to go and vote. Everyone needs to go and vote. And here's another thing. Here's another interesting example of what happens with school bond issues. When they have, basically historic or overwhelming turnout, it's always no on a bond. You know why that is? Is because people get informed. Usually what happens on school bonds in areas like Clever, where we live, it's not unusual for 200 people to go in and vote in a $16 million bond. 200 people. Because no one else knew what was happening. Go ahead.
When you get one of those small areas and they've got some massive bond that they're trying to push, and you get like 3 people that show up.
Yep.
That happens, or one person shows up.
Yep. So
imagine if the people knew who that one person was.
Yep. And from now on, I'll be marking this on the newsletter, April 2nd. Don't forget, gang. We all have to go out and vote.
It's just so interesting that you have, I would say, a large segment of parents today who feel as if their votes don't matter. And even though our voting system is a mess right now, on the local levels, your votes matter big time.
Yep. Well said. And that's absolutely true on the local level, gang. So let's turn out the vote. And basically, for any unnecessary school bond, let's, consider saying no. I don't like to tell people how to vote. I never tell people how to vote. I don't like people telling me how to vote. So I educate myself to the best of my ability, and then I go in and vote. So please don't forget April 2nd. Please don't forget. Almost every district has something going on, whether it's a bond or it's school board members. So we all have our homework to do. I don't even know who's running for school board, so I have work to do for myself right here in Clever. I know everything I need to know about the bond issue. Believe me, that I know. Now it's time to find out what's going on with the board members. And by the way, if you don't like anyone, remember your right to actually write in someone else.
Write in your own name.
You can write in your own name. You can write in Mickey Mouse. You can write in Donald Trump. You can write in anyone you want for school board. But that's your way of saying, I don't like any of the selections. I don't like any of them.
I remember seeing there was people I forget where it was. It was on some news station. I forget where. But enough people wrote in what was it, like D's nuts or something?
Mm-hmm.
It was the actual what was written in,
Mhm.
and it actually showed up on the tallies.
Oh, gotcha.
It's terrible.
Mhm. Hey, listen, Misty Atkinson said, Miller County also surprised me by choosing me to be a delegate to Congressional District 3 and the state caucus. Congratulations, Misty. That is awesome. Well done. All right. Okay, gang. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and wrap her up. We've been on for 2 hours. I want to say again, thank you for all of you who have chosen to spend some of your time with the Missouri Freedom Initiative, seeing what we're doing, joining us in our adventures of actually draining the swamp in Jefferson City, actually getting rid of corruption. That's part of the charter of the Missouri Freedom Initiative, by the way. We actively go after corruption when we find it. We actively expose it. So that is something we were always mandated to do from day one. And we continue to do that, and many other grassroots do as well. And a tip of the hat to everyone who is in a grassroots organization or running or leading a grassroots organization in the state of Missouri, because you are the resistance. So we need to stick together. We need to actually take care of business here. We need to get rid of some of these rhinos, and we need to clear out corruption here. And it's because of us, the grassroots in Missouri and the Freedom Caucus, that a lot of this work is starting to actually get done. So I want to thank you again for spending some of your Saturday night with us, because your time is precious. Believe me, I know that, because I know what my time is like. So thank you for joining us and learning from us, working with us. And hopefully we're all working towards the same thing. And hopefully very soon we'll have a much brighter future in the state of Missouri, because gosh darn it, our kids deserve it. Guys, thank you again for joining us. And everyone on Gilded, thank you very much for joining. May God bless